I've got a bad case of dad bod.
I'm a middle-aged dad, and this is my journey to get back in shape by rediscovering my childhood love of cycling. Come on and take a ride with me.
All right, welcome back to On Your Left. Today we're going to take a ride on the roads instead of the trails this time. We're going to take a ride down Duke's Parkway West, which is a road in my area that connects this more built-up, urbanized area with the more rural farmland area on the other side of town. I'm actually on the main road on the little bike path alongside it, and that's the turn onto the road up ahead, just to give myself a few feet to get up to speed. There's not a lot of shoulder on Duke's Parkway to ride on, so we'll be staying close to the edge so traffic can get by. Hopefully you can hear me over all this traffic. It's a little loud here, but it'll get better when we get away from the main road. All right, let's hit it. Okay, there was a car trying to make a turn as I was making a turn. Luckily he stopped for me and let me through, which is nice. And you see there's very little shoulder here. It's like this most of the way down the road. So you got to stay close to the edge, watch out for the ditch and let the cars go by. It can be a little scary, but you just got to be steady. Try not to make, quick dodges one way or the other and let the cars go around you. Once in a while you'll get a jerk who will yell at you no matter what you're doing, but that's just how it is. Okay, I got a little bit more shoulder, so I'm going to pick up some speed here. You probably saw the 35 mile an hour stop sign not a lot of people stick to 35 miles an hour here. So we got some nice rolling hills. We're doing some ups and downs along this, nothing too crazy. But if you're not changing gears often enough, you might get stuck. This old tree fell down in a storm a couple of months ago. It's still there. It's a big tree. Probably going to be here for a while. Right, up here at this light is the entrance to a park that we'll check out another time. It's got a couple of miles of nice paved walking trails that are fun to ride on. You can't go fast because there's lots of pedestrians, but it's very scenic and a nice ride as long as you don't want to go too fast. We'll check that one out another time though. A little bit of bumpy pavement. I've actually got my suspension in lockout mode, so my suspension is not giving me any cushion, just because I'm going to stick to the roads today. And it's not a huge difference, but when you start playing around with it, you actually can feel the difference. Having the suspension open lets it absorb shock. It's a little more comfortable. You have a little bit more control, but you lose some efficiency. Like I said, it's not a huge change, but it's enough that you can really feel it if you start playing around with it. Get a nice flat section, ride a little bit with it off, and then switch it on. You'll feel a little bit of a difference. Probably not going to make a difference in a shorter ride like this, but on a longer ride it may shave a little off your time. Yeah, this is basically all parkland on both sides. It's the old estates of Doris Duke. Her father was the famous tobacco millionaire. Also founded Duke University. This is his estate. He had one of his houses here. He was actually in the process of building a permanent residence here that he never finished. And when he died, he left the whole thing to his daughter, Doris. And there was a very famous movie about it, Doris and Bernard, or excuse me, Bernard and Doris, with Susan Sarandon and Ray Fiennes, about some of the goings-on that happened here. During the time that Doris owned the property. It's a nice scenic area. This road kind of goes through the middle of that. They actually used to own a lot more land around here, and over the years sold off pieces of it. It's still a huge property. And like I said, this road connects more built-up stuff, the more built-up suburban part of town that we saw at the main road. It's a much more rural side of town. There's actually some nice farmland out there. The houses, there is some suburban area over there, but the houses are a little bit further apart, a little bit bigger. And you have some real farmland out there too. Yeah, those guys are cutting it a little close. Really, you can't be afraid of the cars. You just want to make sure that you're visible to them. I actually have my safety lights on, especially my red blinker in the back. Make sure they can see me. I'm sticking as close as I can to the shoulder where there is one. I'm just trying to go straight and steady as possible so that they can adjust to me easily. Now, technically, this light is the end of Duke's Parkway West, and it turns into a new center road. We're just going to follow this till it gets to kind of the end of the section. So it'll be a nice, I don't know, like 10-15 minute ride maybe, total. I like doing this section as part of one of my more regular routes. I don't really have a regular route, but I have a bunch of areas and paths that I like to string together to make different routes, just to keep things different every now and then. It's a nice long hill. Not very steep, but it's long, so you're going to have to work getting up it. Especially if you're out of shape like me. Most drivers in this area are actually reasonably polite, even when they're going relatively fast. But every now and then you'll get a guy that just doesn't want to get over, who wants to honk at you or yell at you like you don't belong on the road. But it's a public road. Everybody's got a share. You belong here as much as the cars do. Doesn't mean ride in the middle of the roadway and be an obstruction. You can belong here. Just good idea to be courteous and stay over to the right as much as possible. And like I've been saying, make yourself seen. And make it easy for the cars to get around you. Some portions of this way are smoother paved, some have some bumps and ruts or rough pavement. Just got to deal with it. Going to be lots of different situations. This is supposed to be a deer crossing area, but I've never seen deer over here. Doesn't mean they're not there, but I've never seen them, at least not during the day. I would bet you there's plenty of them at night. I do take that back a little bit though, so I have seen what's left of deer on the side of the road occasionally. All right, this little curve takes us through another I'm eating my words. That was a deer off to the side of the road. Yeah, so roll that back. There are deer there. Coming up into a little bit of a development. You know, it's developed. It's a little less built up than where I started. This hill doesn't look like much, but it definitely feels, you can definitely feel this one. It's another similar hill up after this bend that's coming up a little bit. It's similar. It doesn't look like much, but you definitely feel it. He'll slow me down enough. I got to drop a gear. Got police presence. A lot of people speed through these curves here. I'm not shifting because this curve is actually a long, shallow incline. It's actually the hardest part of this ride. And it's tricky because it's hard to see cars coming, or harder for cars to see you if they're coming up behind you. That's less of a problem here when you get past the actual curve. But this hill is deceptive. It's definitely harder than it looks. And we got a nice downslope to the intersection where I'm going to stop. Last time I came this way, I stopped up at this intersection up ahead, and my tire let all its air out. Had to change the tire on the side of the road, so hopefully that doesn't happen this time. Must have hit like a pointy rock or a piece of glass or something. Didn't leave anything in the tire, but it definitely punctured it. Not doing too fast, but I'm trying to pick it up a little here. But don't have much time. I'm going to stop here on this curve. Let you see the farmland. See, there's still some housing out in this section, and some developments, but this is where it becomes increasingly much more rural. On this side, that's a full-out farm. Been down some of the side roads. That's a full-out farm over there. There's even more farms if you go further down and cross the next couple of main intersections. Anyway, that was about 15 minutes. I'm going to continue my ride through some of this area and then loop back home and get my exercise for the day. But for now, I'm going to sign off. So I hope you enjoyed this ride. Hope I showed you, gave you a good idea of one of my usual sections going from the more built-up areas out here to the more picturesque countryside. Maybe another time we'll take a look at that, the Duke Farms Park, and we'll take a look at some of the farmland out this way more. So thanks a lot. Take care. I'll see you next time.